Hey guys, it's EDA here, and we're going to be going through the Man City versus Man United game, which ended 3-1. Really interesting game, to be honest with you, and a result which I don't think surprises many, but the way it kind of went down definitely did. So, we're going to be first going into the game as a whole, and we're going to be touching on the game in FootMob as well. So, just going to show you the screen. As mentioned, the game ended 3-1, two goals from Foden, one from Haaland, and then obviously Rashford with the goal in the 8th minute. And before I go into the game, we're going to look at the lineups very quickly. From a Man City standpoint, this was a very strong team. It's exactly what you'd expect from a Man City team at their best. You see Ake, Diaz, Walker, very strong. What you'd expect. Edison at the back, Stones and Rodri in midfield. That protection that Rodri's getting from Stones allows him to do what he needs to do, and that showed in his performance. Two assists, and he was brilliant. Doku and Foden on the wings, Silva and De Bruyne in the middle, and Haaland up top. For Man City. For Man United, they had Onana in goal. Some surprises in defence, to be honest with you. Lindelof, Evans, Varane, Dalot, Maino, Casemiro, Rashford, McTominay, and Garnacho in the midfield, and Fernandez up top. Obviously, with the injuries that Man United had, that I was aware of going into the game. Some surprises, even bigger ones when I saw Lindelof and Evans starting. To be honest with you, and from looking at the lineups, I'll be frank. I thought they were gonna lose, and they did, but they put up I guess, a better fight in the first half than was expected, and I guess kicking off the game, it felt like a big game, and they took that initiative going into game. Man United throughout, and I think that was really impressive in the first half. Like, they had an intent, they knew their game plan. It was quite negative, if we're being honest, but that was their best route to victory. I was surprised, I guess, throughout the whole of the game how negative they were, but their game plan was clear from the get go, and they stuck to it in the first half. That Rashford goal was an absolute stunner, absolute stunner. And in the beginning, and throughout the game, as mentioned, they had control. Man City had control of the whole game. Even when Rashford scored, Man City had been controlling large parts. Man United were looking to counter, and they got an opportunity. Bruno with some brilliant work. I'm not Bruno's biggest fan by any means, and any stretch of the imagination. I actually was when he was at Sporting. Haven't really liked the transition into Man United. I don't like Man United as a club as well, to be honest with you. But I think, just taking away all biases, I don't like some of the way he's gone about his business at certain times, and it may just be the position he's had to put him the position he's put himself in. But yeah, brilliant work from him, and then Rashford with an absolute stunner. And he has the quality. We all know that Rashford has the quality. That's never been a question. It's the consistency. And even last season, he had an amazing first half of the season, and second half of the season was dreadful, and it's kind of carried itself into this season. His numbers aren't where you'd expect them to be. His performances aren't where you expect them to be. But that goal was a reminder of who Rashford is, and the kind of player he is. So it was really good to see. But as we mentioned, Man City controlled large parts of the game. They took near on full control of the game, as you can see from the momentum. They had complete and utter control of the game throughout, but Man United held strong in the first half. Past the first half and going into the second half, Man United had an opportunity to, and they had a couple of opportunities to break forward and counter, but the one that was apparent and clear just before Man City got their first goal was when Rashford was going through, and he was challenged by Kyle Walker, and it was, for me, it was weak. He needs to do better there. He needs to be stronger there. Rashford allowed Walker to bully him, essentially get the ball, push the ball up, and essentially in that counter attack, Foden scored. It was a sensational strike. I said to a couple of my friends, it reminded me of the Saka goal from last season against Man United, at home in the Emirates, where a player needs to take control and produce a moment of brilliance, and they do. And Foden did that. I think Foden is an unbelievable player. People try and probably cause, I guess, discussions between him, Saka. Let's just have it right now. They are two amazing players, and yeah, again, full and total control by Man United after that first goal from Man City, and I think we all knew it watching the game. It was game over. At 1-1, it felt like game over. I think a lot of fans that were watching that were looking for a good result. Man United fans, anybody invested in the title race, knew that it was game over. I knew once they scored that goal, Man City were going to get a second and they were going to win the game. It was just a matter of time as of when. And that actually came in around the 80th minute when Foden once again scores. A brilliant team move. It shows the quality of them. Man United was very, very static. And they've been under a lot of pressure for a lot of the games, so I can't really blame the players. But yeah, it wasn't great at that moment in time. And again, perfect ball movement and a great finish from Foden. And what I mean there when I say great finish, it was a smart finish. He'd fooled Onana with the eyes and given him a bit of doubt. Is he going to go near post? Is he going to try and slot it far post? And he went far post. But for me, Onana has to do better there. He has to do better there. It's not good. It's not good enough for a quote unquote world class keeper. You get a hand to it, you save it. From my opinion, the strike was good and it was smart, but it's savable, and it's savable in the fact that you get your hand to it. You get your hand to it as a top keeper, you save it. Those ones that are out of your reach, fair enough. And we knew United were done after the first, as I mentioned. They had nothing to offer apart from no counter attacks, and Ten Hag took off Rashford, and I was like, "What are you doing? You have little to no threat in your lineup. If we just go back and see the lineup, you have little to no threat. Fernandez, if he's gonna create for someone like Rashford. Garnacho offered little to nothing in the game, and it was poor in most parts. I believe looking at the XG, if we just go down to the stats, Man United had 0.25 in the whole game. In the second half, they had 0.00. They created absolutely nothing. In the biggest derby game one of the biggest derby games in the country, one of the biggest games in the season, that's not good enough. 27% possession. City dominated and they showed their quality. They were well deserved winners. And yeah, it was a wrap from there. And the last goal was a perfect example of what Man United are and doing. Amrabat with an awful mistake leading to a very, very easy goal for Haaland, extending his tally at the top of the Premier League goal scorer table. And again, the signing of Amrabat as a player, it brings questions to me about what are Man United doing and are they doing the right thing at the right time. And yeah, I think as mentioned in the preview show that we had yesterday, Man United are losing their position in Manchester. They're losing their position in English football. Man City are the big boys now, and you can see it when you look at their recent fixtures. Like I said, they'd only won one of their last 6 games against Man City, and they are the little brothers now. They are looking up now. They're trying to be the noisy neighbours with the new investment, and it's going to be interesting to see. I think Man United have a lot of work to do. They're probably going to be found out a couple more times this season as well, especially if their star striker Højlund is out, and if Rashford isn't firing as consistently as he needs to be, they're going to have problems. So it's going to be interesting. They'll probably get some results, but a real kind of look at them going forward is going to be really, really key. From a Man City perspective, great work. You can't ask for much more in a game like that. Foden, brilliant. The 2 goals, the ability to take over a game as he's done many times this season. He's been undeniable at times this season, and he's taken the reins when they've needed someone to take the reins. So a big prop to him, a big prop to the team, and a great dominating performance. And it should put some fear into a couple of teams. I think if Man United had showed some more ambition, maybe it would have been a higher scoreline. It would have been a different game. But Liverpool and Arsenal would be aware of the threat that Man City are, and it's hotting up to be a great title race. Excited to see Arsenal play tomorrow, and the pressure's on them. Liverpool have performed, Man City have performed. It's now on to Arsenal. So I'll be checking in with you guys with a preview of the Arsenal game and a review of this week's games. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this, and we'll talk soon.